Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Latest, your number one source for news, updates, rumors, opinions, and you guessed it, the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. I'm your host, Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL. Today, we've got a full slate of updates to break down for you. This is the 115th episode of Hawks Latest presented by Fan Art, so hopefully, you guys have been enjoying the ride. I know I have, but we've got a lot to break down today because basketball is back. The Hawks played last night, and while it was super exciting being back, man, that game sucked. The Hawks got killed. The highly anticipated season opener against the Toronto Raptors, who we knew they were going to be a kind of a sneaky good team, but man, they kind of gave us some belt. It did not go the way any Hawks fan was hoping. Just truly putting it into simple terms, it was an offseason full of excitement and high expectations and national attention. I mean, truly the most national attention the Hawks have ever gotten in offseason. And while I still certainly believe in this team, they really just got killed in opening night. The Hawks came out flat. They struggled defensively really all night, especially later in the game, like in the third quarter. The defense fell off a cliff, and they dropped their first game of the new season. They are 0-1, so not the way we wanted to start the year, but we're going to have a full breakdown of that game. We're going to talk about what went wrong. I mean, who stood out from the rest, because there certainly were some good performances. I'm talking about that guy right there, Jalen Johnson. He performed well, but he was really like one of the lone bright spots of the entire game. And what the Hawks need to clean up, before their next matchup, which is actually Friday night against the Orlando Magic. I mean, they've got a pretty rough stretch of games coming up, so it was really important that they got this one win, but they didn't, and now they're 0-1 entering two games. One of them against the Orlando Magic, who one of our Eastern Conference opponents, one of our division rivals, who they're going to be pretty good this year. They won last night as well. Well, not as well. We didn't win, but they started their season off 1-0, so they're going to be riding high off of some momentum when they take on the Hawks. And then we've got the defending champion OKC Thunder, who are actually coming to State Farm Arena the day after. So hopefully the Hawks do not start 0-3. And next episode I'm going to have a full breakdown of the Hawks Magic game, because it will have when that comes out, it will be game day. But man, what a disappointing start to the year. We're also going to talk about Keaton Wallace's main ninth man rotation debut. He was actually the ninth man officially in the rotation, which is a bit of a surprise. So we're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk about a major endorsement from the greatest basketball player of all time, LeBron James, and Steve Nash. On a recent podcast episode, they gave the Hawks some love, and why Houston's latest roster move could open the door for Atlanta to make a big splash next summer. Or one loss, and we're already talking about next summer. No, I'm kidding, but we are going to break that down. But it's not because the Hawks lost. I have been planning on talking about this because it's an interesting situation. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and waste no more time and jump right into it. And also, I would like to apologize. I know my voice is a little scratchy, and that is entirely because I was not with the media. I was at that game as a fan, and yeah, I'm sure you can imagine why my voice might be a little bit gone. Frustrating night, man. But let's go ahead and start. So the Hawks were one of the most talked about teams in the NBA this offseason, for good reason. They brought in Kristaps Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Luke Kennard. It was ranked as probably the best offseason in the NBA. Many expect this team to make serious noise in the Eastern Conference, which is known as wide open. But looking at some of these opening night games, it may not be as wide open as we think. Their season opener against the Raptors, however, was simply a night to forget. A terrible way to start the year. Atlanta's defense, which was supposed to be an upgraded unit under head coach Quinn Snyder, and genuinely, like, they made huge improvements defensively this past season. And so entering this year, if they didn't even bring in KP or Nickeil Alexander-Walker, they still would have been a team that many expect to improve defensively just in general. But they went out and they got some standout defenders while continuing to develop the talented defenders that they have on their team right now. But they could not get a stop all night. And I want to provide a more like complex analysis of what went wrong defensively, but they were just getting beat. They could not get a stop. I mean, they were getting killed on backdoor cuts. I know I had seen a lot that were given up by like guys like Luke Kennard, and even KP was really struggling to defend down low. I mean, he had a few blocks. That doesn't really show what happened on the court. I mean, the stats look good, and KP was great offensively, but man, he struggled defensively. I think Onyeka also kind of struggled defensively. I mean, the Hawks were really struggling on the defensive end in the interior. The perimeter wasn't as bad, but guys were getting to their spots with ease. I mean, Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett were able to get to their mid-range very often. Brandon Ingram's mid-range is absolutely lethal. I mean, just a very efficient attacker. It's something that Toronto has needed for quite some time. But now, I mean, let's talk about the Raptors a little bit. They're a team that aren't really expected to be among the league's like better offensive squads. They've got like I said with the mid range, they were very good in the mid range, and that was kind of expected. That's what their offense was projected to do. Because if you look at that roster, I mean, it's a bunch of guys who are effective in the mid range and not really effective from the outside. All of it was kind of connecting last night, but with their shot selection and the way they were able to get to their spots on Atlanta's poor defense, they shot an impressive 57% from the floor. Just efficient shooting because they're taking good looks. They don't have risk takers really, other than RJ Barrett, but he doesn't have like terrible shot selection. It's just the amount of shots that he takes. But they were moving the ball at will, and they were really killing the Hawks in transition. I mean, they were getting out quick. I know Trae Young had actually talked about it in his post-game presser of like teams will, when they're scouting the Hawks, they will mention that they need to beat them in transition. And the Raptors were simply able to. They were playing quicker, getting to their spots much easier, killing us in transition. I mean, really just everything went wrong that you can think. Everything that you would think a team would be able to exploit the Hawks with, the Raptors were able to do just that. It was actually RJ Barrett who led the charge. And we talked about how dominant Ingram kind of felt, but I mean, realistically, like, this wasn't it was an all-around team performance. Barrett had 25, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists, so very complete game from him. Barnes had 22 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds. I was kind of planning, and I'm a little more upset because Jalen Johnson played great, and we're going to talk more about Jalen Johnson's performance here in just a minute. And I was gonna tweet something about some agenda being pushed that because Jalen Johnson and Scotty Barnes have been kind of compared since both of them have been in the NBA because similar players in most aspects of their games. And so I was gonna tweet something. I was gonna say like Jalen Johnson. Remember when Jalen Johnson and Scotty Barnes used to be a comparison? Like I was gonna tweet something like that, but then Scotty Barnes had a game that was almost as good as Jalen's, and you can argue that it was better than Jalen's. I don't think it was, but you can argue that. And Toronto got the win in a very impressive fashion, so I decided to take a step back. I can't really talk. I mean, we lost. And then also, Grady Dick had 21 off the bench, and Brandon Ingram actually ended up with 16 in his Raptors debut. That's another interesting wrinkle, and not many people knew that this was Ingram's first technical game as a Raptor. He was obviously traded to Toronto at the deadline last season, but he was injured, and he did not suit up the rest of that year because they were kind of out of everything. For the Hawks, though, completely different story. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who was very hyped up this offseason, and definitely, like, I always have to kind of go ahead and go into this, like, cautiously because this is something that I don't expect to continue. This isn't going to be a trend. This is a very outlier performance. This is not what we're going to expect from Na moving forward. But man, he had a bad game. It was one of the most talked about offseason additions, and he's a winner, and he's someone who's going to impact Atlanta down the line. But it was a really bad debut. He actually shot 2 for 15 from the floor and 1 for 5 from 3. I mean, he wasn't able to, throw a rock in the ocean. Luke Kennard, the other Atlanta newcomer, who both of these guys are expected to play huge bench roles for the Hawks this season. He finished 2 for 7 and also 1 for 5 from deep. And Luke was extra frustrating. I know Nickeil technically finished worse if we're talking about shooting splits and maybe even overall impact because Nickeil really struggled, but Luke's was just really frustrating because he wasn't taking threes. I know he shot 1 for 5 at the end of the game, and that's fine. Like that doesn't look good. But I don't care how he's shooting. I need Luke Kennard taking more threes. He was not like he was so hesitant all night. The entire night he was hesitating, and I think if I was saying this right, and I can't read lips because where we're sitting it's not in that close of a distance where I can read lips, but I mean Trae had said something to Luke Kennard. He was like, shoot the effing ball. These are potential assists. I mean, Atlanta brought in Luke to be a sharpshooter. I mean, I know earlier in the day yesterday during like a practice, I know Luke was asked about his 3-point volume, and he emphasized that Quinn Snyder wants him letting it fly as much as he can, and that just wasn't on display. I mean, he was doing too much with the ball in his hands, and that was extremely frustrating. Hopefully he can learn from this, but I will say Memphis fans that I had talked to about Kennard when Atlanta first I was kind of being reported that they were interested in bringing him in. They had always said, like, he will frustrate you at times because he will try to do too much with the ball in his hands, and it can lead to a turnover, can lead to a bad shot, and you want Luke Kennard just letting it fly. I mean, he can do stuff with the ball in his hands, that's fine, but just not too much. I mean, you are here to be a shooter, and that's your main priority because you're getting good looks. I mean, he was open. He was just getting open, and then he was pump faking, and then he was driving, and then he was driving into nothing. So then he'd kick it out to the corner or the wing, and it was frustrating to watch. And then if you talk about a guy like Dyson Daniels, who he's fresh off of his contract extension, literally just got done a couple days ago. He had a very frustrating night, not really from the floor, but he got into early foul trouble. He got 2 fouls in that first quarter, and Quinn had immediately subbed him out, which I honestly have my complaints about, and I kind of have a little bit of a complaint with Quinn's rotations that I'm actually going to talk about in this next segment. But what was I saying? Oh, Dyson. Yeah. He got that second foul, immediately subbed out. He didn't play again until like midway through the second quarter, if I'm remembering correctly. And so, definitely Atlanta allowed a lot of points in that stretch, and they just throughout the night, I mean, Dyson was getting called for phantom fouls. He was not really being aggressive at all. I mean, he wasn't playing the defense that Dyson Daniels is known to play, and he was just getting called for foul after foul after foul. I mean, he literally could not touch the floor without getting a foul. I mean, the refs were not rewarding good defense. You can't blame a loss like this completely on the refs because, I mean, Atlanta got killed. I mean, plain and simple. But the officiating was really bad all night, especially for Dyson. Dyson was he was playing. He's Dyson Daniels. I mean, we know the defense that he plays. Toronto knows the defense that he plays, and they weren't specifically game planning to foul Dyson out, but they just were able to because of how soft the whistle was. It was extremely frustrating. I mean, I remember in State Farm there was a really, really loud "Ref You Suck" chant. And the first game of the season, like the whole arena, I was like, geez. And so I think we've had enough of the negatives, at least for right now. And I'm going to talk about the bright spot for the Atlanta Hawks, and that was Jalen Johnson. And he was awesome. And I mean, I'm about to be ready to put him in some wild conversations because, man, he had the ball in his hands like more than I've ever seen him have the ball in his hands. They were really running him as a true point forward. He was bringing the ball up a whole lot. I mean, they would start action at the top of the key with Jalen facilitating the ball. I mean, honestly, in that first half, they were kind of running Trey off the ball a little too much. That was kind of a complaint I had. It was like, and they did pick up on that later in the game, but originally they were kind of running Jalen on the ball a little more than Trey. It definitely wasn't more than Trey. That's an exaggeration, but he had the ball in his hands a lot, and honestly, it didn't look too bad. He continues to look like a future star. I mean, he is pushing for an All-Star this year, and if he continue playing like this, if he can continue playing like this, I mean, throughout the season, I guess we're gonna get a good look at what he can do against the Magic, because that is a tough defensive team. And if Jalen can put up a stat line like this, which I'm about to tell you once again, then we're looking at a serious all-star this year. He had 22 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds, a near triple-double, a near 20-point triple-double. He flashes all-around game, and his composure, when things got a little, just intense, and he was able to stay in there and just play his best ball. I mean, the one thing we're really looking for in Jalen, I mean, it's been a struggle of his for a while, and it looks like he's still kind of holding it. He like Luke Kennard, he's hesitating. He needs to get more confident in that jumper because, if the defenses really have to worry about that, it's going to open up driving lanes for him in the best ways. Trae Young matched him with 22 points and 5 assists, although a lot of those points were I wouldn't necessarily say garbage time. But it was late in the game after it was pretty clear the Raptors were going to win. And so this is kind of a misleading stat line for Trae Young. He wasn't great all night, but he wasn't really turning the ball over, and it was definitely a new look for him. So I wouldn't worry about Trae too much. He's going to be all right. He still put up decent stats, but yeah, I mean, we definitely need some more offensive cohesion from him and the rest of the group. Kristaps Porzingis in his technical Hawks debut, he had 20 points and 7 boards. He was not having a good time on the defensive end, though. I mean, he was looking really really slow. He was getting out rebounded. He looked a bit clumsy at times, and all of this is really just to say like, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna be okay, but it was very clear that this was a brand new team. They just didn't have a lot of lineup cohesion, and this is going to get better as the season progresses. But as we've been saying on this channel for quite some time, it might take them time, especially with this really tough first few weeks of the season. I just hope they don't get in too far of a hole to climb out of. Atlanta shot 42% from the field and 29% from three. The Raptors, their pace was just awesome all night, and their ball movement. It all exposed the Hawks' transition defense. I mean, it was just bad game, man. It started badly, and honestly, it just continued to get worse. I thought it was going to be better after Atlanta. In the first quarter, the offense was seriously, rough. I mean, it was shaky, but it was still a close game. They had several early turnovers, and it was the Dyson Daniels issues that set the tone, like I had just mentioned when we were talking about Dyson. And I mean, the only thing that was really keeping Atlanta kind of in it was their ability to get to the line. I mean, they were getting to the line. I think it was their first 3 or 4 possessions. They got 2 free throws out of each one. I think the first 6 or 8 points of the game for Atlanta was all at the line, which good to see. But yeah, that level of officiating was not kept up throughout the entire game. That was the best reffing Atlanta got that entire night. With just 4 minutes left in the first, they were shooting just 4 of 11 from the field, but they were 9 of 10 from the stripe, just showing that they were getting to the line with ease, which means they were playing aggressively. That just didn't last all 48 minutes. In the second quarter, Toronto had actually opened up on a 13-5 run. They pushed the lead to double digits, and they didn't. I mean, they lost it, but they didn't really ever lose the lead much again. I mean, it was there. It was in their control the rest of the time out. Atlanta's offense looked stagnant. Definitely not what we expected, but it's something that you can obviously see why. Brand new scheme for a lot of these guys. A late push in that second quarter, though, gave Hawks fans some optimism heading into the third quarter. Zachary Ricochet was connecting on all cylinders. He looked great in the only 21 minutes he played. And Kristaps Porzingis, he cut the deficit to 6 at halftime. It was 65-59 heading into the second half. So during Quavo's halftime performance, there was a lot to kind of be excited about. I mean, it was an up and down half, but they showed some solid play on both ends to close out that quarter. So it gave Hawks fans a little bit of hope. But the third quarter was where everything just unraveled, and this has been a trend for years with the Hawks. I don't know what it is about third quarters, but Toronto had actually outscored Atlanta 43-28 in that period. Just dominating, and they turned defense into offense all night. They were off of Atlanta's turnovers. They were pushing the pace in transition, and they were killing us. By mid third, the Raptors had a 28-6 advantage in fast break points. That is definitely an interesting stat. It's unacceptable though for a team that's emphasizing improving transition defense. Because we've talked all offseason about how important it is going to be in this upcoming season to play fast and elite in transition, and yeah, it wasn't the case. The Hawks never recovered from that. The fourth quarter started and they were down 23, and it was just dominant. It stayed like that the rest of the game. It was a blowout loss at State Farm Arena to open the year. The final score was 138-118 Toronto. So not the start anyone wanted, and definitely not me. I mean, I was super excited. They're playing the intro video. 2 Chainz walked the team out. It was super hype in that arena. It was super loud, and they laid an egg. But let's talk about one of the more interesting takeaways from last night. And this isn't talking about the score and really the outcome and trajectory moving forward, but the rotation choices, because Quinn Snyder's rotation was very iffy. This wasn't something I was very happy about watching, and not specifically about the guy we're going to talk about, but just in general, some of the rotation decisions. And one of the biggest surprises from last night's rotation came from the spot of the 9th man. Because Atlanta wasn't just going to run out an 8-man rotation. I mean, I know they heavily prioritized their top 8 guys. They're on all the ads and everything, but they're obviously going to play a 9th man, whether that's only for a few minutes. And in this case, it was for a few minutes, but it was Keaton Wallace. And Atlanta just converted his contract from a 2-way contract to a standard deal. But he's that ninth man for the Atlanta Hawks, and it looks like it's going to be that way moving forward. He surprisingly earned that role over Vit Krejci and Mo Gay, who had more organizational familiarity. Mo Gay was starting at the 4 for Atlanta for a lot of last season after Jalen Johnson went down. It's a controversial move. I don't think fans are too happy about it, if I'm being honest. It's controversial considering Vit Krejci was one of Atlanta's better deep threats last season. He shot like 43% from deep. He's also a pretty underrated defender, in my opinion. I would have probably put Krejci out there just for his versatility, ability to handle the ball, and just defensive instincts and really size. I mean, I don't want another small guard coming in and backing up Trey, and that's the kind of the principle. It's like it doesn't really make sense to me when you think about how Anzi Soleil was talking about how, oh, we're fine going into the season without a true backup point guard, and we didn't have a true backup point guard when I was with Golden State and we had Steph Curry, and so now they are abandoning like this the versatility focus and optionality focus, and choosing that strict backup one, maybe at the expense of the team. And also like Mo Gay, and we were talking about Vit, but Mo Gay not being in the rotation is I don't know. I don't like that choice. Because while he was very raw offensively last season, Atlanta could use that extra defensive boost, just to really kind of help improve the interior defense. And really, I mean, he's a versatile defender. He can guard the perimeter, he can guard the interior, but Atlanta's interior defense was getting cooked all night. And honestly, when Mo Gay came in, like in the garbage time minutes, when Atlanta just like cleared the bench, he was making an impact immediately. So I didn't get the rotation decisions. Another thing I didn't get was Zachary Rizichet only played 21 minutes. And Nikhil ended up playing 24 minutes. Luke Kennard played 27 minutes. But why is our starting 3, Zachary Rizichet, playing 21 minutes? I know he sprained his ankle a little bit, but he was fine. He came back into the game. He was still moving exactly as well as we wanted it to. Let's hope that Zachary Rizichet is still not on a minutes restriction like the one that he was on in his rookie season. That really at times kind of held back him getting his numbers and probably not winning Rookie of the Year because of that. And so only playing 21 minutes in the first regular season game when he was really effective. He was shooting the ball better than anyone on Atlanta's team. I think he started the game like 7 for 9. I don't have his exact final shooting splits, but I mean, he had 16 points, and he was really cooking. He was playing extremely well, and really on both ends. And he was honestly Atlanta's best transition player. I mean, he was beating everyone out in transition, and that's someone you could have probably kept in the game for longer, considering how Toronto was able to effectively beat Atlanta downhill. And this kind of brings us back to Keaton Wallace, because he's had moments of brilliance. I mean, he had that triple-double at the end of last season, actually the very last game, that 15 points, 15 assists, 11 rebounds, and it was like 5 steals. I mean, just ridiculous stat line, and that's not just something that any player can do. So I certainly believe in Wallace's long-term potential, but I mean, for an Atlanta team that's looking to be at the top of the Eastern Conference and maybe represent the conference in the NBA Finals this season, I just don't agree with having Keaton Wallace be your 9th man and only playing him 9 minutes at that. I mean, clearly it's not something they're super committed to, so maybe we see a change. He hasn't been as consistent as like Krejci or Gay, he's not as proven as either of them either. His opening night wasn't great. I mean, you can't really judge it though, because he only played 9 minutes. In those 9 minutes, he finished with just a steal, a turnover, and 2 fouls in limited action. So not very effective. However, I don't want to overreact, because this could be an example of just an early season experiment by Quinn Snyder. But it will be interesting to see whether he sticks with Wallace moving forward, especially against a team like Orlando, they're a team who kind of lacks shot creation. So I think it would be kind of smart to attack them that way. And also, like I completely forgot to mention, when they were having Keaton Wallace in as a 9th man is one thing, but running a lineup with Keaton Wallace, Luke Kennard, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker all on the floor at the same time with no Trae Young, it made no sense. I can't remember who else was out there in the front court, but there were several minutes, and really most of Keaton Wallace's 9 minutes, it was him and Luke and Na on the floor at the same time. I mean, what is this? I mean, we have guys with real length, and we're not using them the way that they should be used. I know it's opening night, but I mean, dang, man, like it's basketball 101. But I mean, like I said, could be an early season experiment. Maybe we see Mo Gay against the Magic. I know Mo Gay had played it. He started in that play-in game against the Magic last year, so maybe he has some familiarity going against them. Maybe they choose, to put him on Paolo in some minutes at the end of the bench. Or I mean, even against OKC, I mean, a guy like Veit could match up pretty well against them. So we're gonna track that moving forward. But I was a little upset with Quinn's decision. Rotation decisions all night, but particularly the one that had Keaton Wallace playing over some of these other guys, because that just doesn't really make sense to me. So now let's move on, because despite the disappointing opener, it's worth remembering why we're so disappointed. Because we had a lot of hype going into the season, and there's still a lot of hype around the Atlanta Hawks. And it's worth remembering how much respect this Hawks team has earned around the league before even playing a game. Now, they have played a game, and it was disappointing, but they have earned respect just for their offseason moves, and a lot of guys are getting love that weren't getting love before. So recently on the Mind the Game podcast, as we all know, that is the podcast with LeBron James and Steve Nash, they both gave Atlanta a major endorsement heading into the season. So LeBron said, "It's very sneaky, man. Adding Alexander Walker with Jalen Johnson coming back. Porzingis had a great summer. Dyson Daniels was up there for Defensive Player of the Year last year. It's kind of sleepy out there." And Nash agreed. He said the Hawks were a team to watch in the East. I mean, when you have that praise coming from two basketball minds like LeBron and Steve Nash, who's actually Trae Young's favorite player of all time, and it clearly models his game after him, it speaks volumes. Well, he didn't model his game after Nash last night, clearly, because he only had like 5 assists, and that's very unusual for Trae. I'm not a betting man, but I know my friend had texted me that he was taking Trae's over on assists, and then he texted me like at halftime. He was like, "Dude." So I was like, I got nothing. But general manager Onzi Soleil had a great offseason. He put together the deepest roster Trae Young has ever had. And while that wasn't on full display in the opener, it's going to this season, and Hawks fans have no reason to worry. It's all going to work out. That might just be my optimistic self talking, but there's no reason to freak out and panic about this team. Trae Young is surrounded with shooting, length, and defensive versatility, and it's clear to see why LeBron and Nash are excited about the potential of this team. Porzingis gives Atlanta a elite front court partner. And players like Jalen Johnson, who Jalen's now looking like an all-star if he can keep up this level of play. Dyson Daniels, who hopefully isn't going to foul out in every single game and actually get real minutes and a real opportunity to contribute on both ends of the floor. And Zachary Rizouche, who had a really good performance, and for some reason his limited minutes last night, it rounds out a young athletic core that really just all complements each other's game. So stuff like this is why last night's loss stings, because we had so much hype. There was so many antics, just around the game and around the Hawks this season. So the team has the talent to be at the top of the league. So it's just about putting it together. And I'm excited to see how the rest of the season goes. I mean, one loss sucks, but it's an 82 game season for a reason. It's a long ride, and expectations to be one of the East's most dangerous squads are there. So and the realisticness of it is also there. Just got to put it together. So even though the season has started, though, it's never ever too early to go ahead and think ahead to next offseason. Like I said earlier, Hawks one loss, and we're already talking about next summer. But in all seriousness, the Hawks may actually have a perfect target for next summer, and I really think this is a realistic option, and that's why I'm talking about. I usually will not talk about like next offseason pickups in like videos like this, which are really focused on like post game recaps. But I wanted to talk about this. I actually wrote an article about it. I hope you guys have given it a read because I liked my work there. But I think the Hawks could really have an opportunity here if they play their cards right. The Houston Rockets were a team that made headlines this week, not just because of their double overtime loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder, where honestly, like, it shouldn't even gone to two overtimes because Kevin Durant called a timeout, and OKC, well, when they didn't have a timeout, and OKC should have been shooting free throws, and it should have iced the game there, but it went to a second overtime, and they lost. Tari Eason didn't have a very good game, and so that's besides the point. Let's talk about Tari Eason as a whole. And just the player we know he is. And because opening night is not a fair way to just judge a player. But relating to Tari Eason, the Rockets chose to not extend him. He was eligible for that same rookie scale extension that Dyson Daniels was eligible for that he ended up getting done. Tari Eason did not get that deal done, and this is kind of surprising because he is one of their most promising young players. I mean, that team's not getting any younger. It's a puzzling move from the Houston Rockets, especially after locking up Jabari Smith Jr. and trading for Kevin Durant. They have so much salary committed because they actually extended Kevin Durant not long ago either. The Rockets might just be forced to let Eason walk in restricted free agency. This is a situation that I could see becoming reality, and I don't think they're going to want to commit much money to him. I think he's going to have offers, and I don't think Houston's going to want to match, with how high these offers may go. This right here is where Atlanta could swoop in. So if we don't look at his opening night performance just the other day, Eason is a very valuable two-way player. He's a forward as well. He's got good size. He's someone who is a modern-day contributor. He averaged 12 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 1.7 steals per game last year on nearly 49% shooting. He did all of that in 25 minutes per game. This was last season. It was the best year of his career. He's gotten better in every year of his career, and he's going to continue to get better. If you look at that, his trajectory, his timeline, his age, his size, his strength, his ability to put the ball in the basket, as well as be a versatile defender, defend multiple positions, he's a perfect fit for the two-way culture the Hawks are trying to build. I mean, talk about a perfect eighth or ninth man. That would be awesome. Now, it's the reason that Atlanta could even look at him is because they might have a whole lot of money this next offseason. If the front office decides to not re-sign Porzingis next summer due to whatever reasons, I mean, we don't know why they wouldn't re-sign Porzingis, but there's plenty of things that could happen. I mean, they could not see the results they want this season and be like, okay, so we're not paying this 30-year-old center to a 4-year max because we're going to try to stay true to our timeline and win with these guys. They don't want to throw a huge bag at a guy who's aging and regressing. Atlanta, let's say they do not. They don't decide to bring back Porzingis. They could have enough cap flexibility to chase a young athletic forward like Eason. He's a guy who fits the timeline of Johnson, Reza Shea, and Daniels. Just the rest of the forwards in the core, which really round out Atlanta's team and make them one of the most intriguing in the East. He's not going to come cheap, and this is where it might hold up a deal. And he's a restricted free agent, so Houston can offer anything that's thrown his way. However, it's just the question of if they would want to do that, considering all the money they already have tied up and the guys that they're going to have to continue to pay over these next few summers. I expect offers in the $25 to $30 million range annually. That might seem a little steep, but if you really have a whole lot of cap space to spend, if you, let's say you re-sign Young and Kennard, and then you don't re-sign Porzingis and you have all that money freed up. I mean, $25 million annually to Tari Eason could be something that pays off for Atlanta down the road, just considering the timeline and everything around that. It could solidify Atlanta's front court for years. So it may seem steep, but I think it would be something that's worth it. But also Houston would probably end up matching that, but it would be difficult for them. So, and also making them match that would probably hurt them more than it would benefit whoever Eason goes to if it's not the Houston Rockets. So a rough start for Atlanta for opening night, for sure, but it's only game 1 of 82. We got a full season to play, and I'm excited to be covering it all here on the channel. The Hawks have a chance to bounce back on Friday night against the Orlando Magic, a definite rival of ours. They injured a lot of our guys last season, so let's come out there angry and let's get a win. Go be 1-1 entering a game at home against the defending champs. The crowd will be into it, and it'll be super fun to be at. The Magic are a team that are trying to climb the Eastern Conference ladder, and it's going to be a tough battle between the Hawks and them for the rest of the season. So I'm super excited for that Friday night. Next episode, we'll have a full breakdown of what we could expect from that game. So we're going to see how head coach Quinn Snyder adjusts the rotation and whether this team can respond after a very humbling loss. I mean, terrible opening night, but I'm very optimistic about the future of this team. Jalen Johnson looks like a future MVP. There, I said it. As always, thank you guys for watching. That's going to do it for today's episode of Hawks Latest. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single update here on the channel. We're going to be pumping out videos every single day, keep you guys informed on the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. But let me know down below in the comments. I mean, what are your thoughts on the opening night L? I'm sure y'all are just as disappointed as I am, but hopefully y'all can see the light at the end of the tunnel because I think it will still be a very exciting season for the Hawks. But also let me know what you think about the rotation decisions. Riza Wallace, Mo Gay and Beat Krejci not playing. A lot of stuff to talk about there. Also, Dyson Daniels immediately getting benched after 2 fouls. Do y'all agree with that philosophy? I see why they do it, but being so quick to pull like your top defender is just not always the best move in my eyes. And then also let me know what you think about potentially Tari Eason coming to Atlanta next summer. And what do you think about LeBron's comments on the Hawks? Definitely a lot I want to hear from y'all. So be sure to comment below. But once again, thank you guys for watching. I'm Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and I'll see you guys next time.